Hello everyone. Here we are going to explain about the topic interspecific interaction. So this is an overview of interspecific interaction. The environment consists of both the biotic and abiotic factors. So the abiotic factors includes the carbon dioxide, water, temperature, osmotic balances. So along with these abiotic factors of the ecosystem, the population, that is the biotic, it also gets affected by the interaction. So interspecific interaction means interaction between the two or more species, that is inter means between. So these are the types of interspecific interaction, that is competition, neutralism, predation, symbiosis, commensalism, antagonism, parasitism and mutualism. So first, competition means the members of two different species use the same limited resource and therefore compete for it. And competition negatively affect both the participants. Next, predation. A member of one species, that is a predator, eats a part or living body of the organism, that is the prey. This interaction beneficially for the predator but harmful for the prey. Next, symbiosis. It is a gentle term for interspecific interaction in which two species live together in long term in an intimate association. Next, mutualism. In a mutualism, two species have a long term interaction that is beneficial to both of them. For example of the mutualism is some types of fungi that forms a mutualistic association with the plant roots. The fungus has a network of thread-like structure that is called a hyphae, which allow to capture water and nutrients from the soil and provide them to the plant. Next, commensalism. In commensalism, the two species that have a long-term interaction that is beneficial to one and has a no positive or negative effect on the other. Next, parasitism. In parasitism, the two species lost in interaction for a very close, that is beneficial to one, that is a parasite, and harmful to the other, that is the host. This is an overview of a type of interspecific interaction. First, competition. As we said before, it use both same limited resource and have a negative impact on each other. So it have both negative effect on each other. So next, predation. In predation, one species, that is a predator, eats part or full body of a living organism of another species, that is known as prey. It has a both positive and a negative effect. And the positive effect it for the prey, and the positive effect for the predator, and the negative effect is for the prey. The third one is herbivory. So it is a special case of a predation in which the prey species is a plant. As for the predation, herbivory also has a positive and a negative effect. Next, mutualism. Two species in which both partners gets benefited is mutualism. So next, commensalism. In commensalism, association between the two species, one gets benefited and the other is unaffected. As this line predicts that it has a positive effect on one and no effect on the other. Finally, parasitism. In parasitism, two species, one gets benefited, that is a parasite, and the other is harm, that is a prey or host, we can say. So here it explains that it has a positive effect and also a negative effect. Thank you.
Everyone. Today let's talk about theories of evolution. First, what is evolution? Evolution is a process that results in changes in genetic material that allows an organism to adapt to their environment, turning them into a different species. The main theories that explains the process of evolution are Lamarckism or theory of inheritable of acquired character. The second one is Darwinism or theory of natural selection. And the third one is mutation theory of de Vries. Let's talk about the theory of Lamarck or theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Lamarckism states that the changes that occurs in an individual during their lifetime are inherited by their offspring. Let's see that with an example. He stated his theory by taking the long neck of the giraffe as an example. Before the evolution of the long neck, giraffes had been short necked. Due to the lack of vegetation available in the lower areas, they tried and stretched their neck to reach the higher trees. So the neck is continuously stretched and the organ is overused. Since the organ is overused, it must have been developed. This affects their genotype and it is inherited to their offspring. In the end, giraffes end up with a long neck. Next, let's see about Darwinism. This theory of natural selection states that the organisms which get adapted to the environment can only survive and they reproduce more offspring compared to others. That leads to the evolution of the new species. Here, let's again see why giraffes have long neck by the theory of natural selection. According to Darwin, during earlier period, both long and short-necked giraffe should have been in the environment. As the result, the lower vegetation decreased, the short-necked giraffes die. It leads to the extinction of the short-necked giraffes, and only the long-necked giraffes survive by feeding higher vegetation, and they overproduce. That leads to the giraffes with only long neck to survive. The next main theory of evolution is the mutation theory by Beveridge. According to this theory, living organisms can develop changes in their genes that greatly alter the organism. These changes then pass to their offspring that leads to the development of new species. Once a new species is evolved, it get well adapted to the environment, so it fix and stop changing. He proved this by giving an evening primrose as an example. In the case of evening primrose, different species must have been evolved in the subsequent generation because of the sudden change in their genetic material. But the changes is only observed in the few plants compared, but the majority of plants remain the same. This few plants leads to the development of the new species. This is the theory of mutation. Thank you. That's all for now. Stay updated for more videos.
Hello everyone. In this video, we learn about speciation and how the new species are formed. Before moving on to this topic, let us see why it's occur. Because of the variation level is increases, the macroevolution occur. The new separation of species are formed. Types of speciation. Commonly, speciation has two types, gradual and abrupt. Gradual takes several years for mutation. Abrupt, sudden mutation. And speciation has most important type, alloparetic speciation and sympathetic speciation. Alloparetic speciation is a speciation it caused by the geographical isolation. It has a two type, parapatric speciation and peripatric speciation. This is a type of allopatric speciation. Factors are lead the speciation. There are several factors that lead the species: genetic drift, natural selection, geographical isolation, mutation. Geographical barrier. Geographical isolation is isolation of species or group of individual from other by means some physical geographical barrier like river, mountain. Geographical isolation result in evolution of new species. Natural selection. It is a process by which the natural selected that individual which can survey a particular kind of environment with the best possible traits. Genetic drift. Genetic drift may be defined as the sudden changes in the frequency of allele given a population. The random genetic drift may be important factor in the formation of new species. Mutation. Mutation is known as a sudden changes in DNA. The large mutation in DNA can also result in the speciation.
Biosphere. In the biosphere, we are seeing about what is biosphere, characteristic of biosphere, and types of biospheres. Here, what is biosphere? The term biosphere refers to the portion of Earth where life exists. It encompasses all living organisms, including plants, animals, microorganisms, and ecosystem and the environments in which they live. The biosphere is a critical component of Earth system as it interacts with geographic, the hydrosphere and the atmosphere. The geosphere means the solid substance of the earth, and the hydrosphere the watery substance of the earth, and the atmosphere the air substance present in the air. It is also the type of the biospheres. Some of the characteristics of in the biosphere. First, diversity of life. The biosphere is home to the incredible diverse range of life forms from microorganisms to plants, animals, and ecosystem. This biodiversity is a defining features of the biosphere. Interconnectedness. The various components of the biosphere are interconnected and independent. Organisms rely on each other, and ecosystems depend on the cycling of nutrients and energies. Dynamic and adaptive. The biosphere is constantly changing and adapting to environmental conditions. Life form evolve over time, and ecosystem responds to both natural and human-induced changes. Habitat variation. The biosphere includes a wide variety of habitats ranging from terrestrial ecosystem like forest, grassland to aquatic environments such as ocean, rivers, and lakes. Each habitat has its own unique set of contention and species. Energy flow. Life is the biosphere relies on the flow of energy primarily from the sun. Photosynthesis is a fundamental process by which plants convert solar energy into chemical energy which sustains life. Nutrient cycle. Nutrients such as carbon, nitrogen, and phosphorus cycle through the biosphere. Living organisms play a role in these cycles as they take up and release nutrients to do their life process. Environmental limits. Life within the biosphere is constrained by environmental limits including temperature, humidity, availability of resources, and other factors. Organisms have adapted to thrive within the constraints. Homostats. Most aspects of the biosphere work maintain a state of equilibrium or homostats. Each ecosystem tends to self-regulate to maintain balance and stability. Human influence. Human activities have a significant impact on biosphere, including habitat destruction, pollutions, chemical change, climate change, and the loss of biodiversity. Understanding and integrated this impact are crucial for health of biosphere. Yes, see about the types of biosphere. These types are also come under the atmosphere, lithosphere, and hydrosphere. Terrestrial biosphere. This include all the ecosystem on the earth such as forest, grassland, desert, and wetland. Terrestrial biosphere vary depend on the factors like climate, vegetation, and geographical location. Aquatic biosphere. This comprises all ecosystem found in the water bodies including oceans, seas, lakes, rivers, and ponds. Aquatic biospheres are influenced by factors like water, temperature, salinity, and deep. Marine biosphere. This is a subset of aquatic biosphere and specifically refer to the ecosystem in saltwater environment, including oceans and seas. Marine ecosystems are among the most diverse and extensive on Earth. Freshwater biosphere. Within the aquatic biosphere, freshwater ecosystem include lakes, rivers, ponds. They have their own unique characteristic and specific adaptive to freshwater conditions. Polar biosphere. They are the ecosystem found in the polar region, including the Arctic and Antarctic. They are characteristic by extremely cold, long period of darkness, and unique adaptive of organism to their condition. Desert biosphere. Desert are the characteristic by arid condition, low precipitation, and high temperature. Organism is desert biosphere have evolved to within this host condition. Forest biosphere. Forest, whether tropical, temperature, or boreal, create distinct ecosystem with unique flora and fauna. This biosphere are vital for carbon stores and global climate regulation. Urban biosphere. This refers to the ecosystem and environment with carbon areas which human activities significantly impact the composition and functions of the biosphere. Urban biosphere include park, garden, and green space within the city. Coral reef biosphere. Coral reef are diverse marine ecosystem formed by coral polyps. They are known for its high biodiversity and are found in warm, shallow water. Here, grassland biosphere. Grasslands include a savanna and a prairies or characteristic by open space dominated by grasses. They support a variety of herbivores and their predators. Mountain biosphere. These are the ecosystems found at high altitudes such as mountain ranges. They present unique changes due to their cold and rugged condition. Island biosphere. Island, whether in ocean or lakes, have their own unique ecosystem due to their isolation. These biosphere are often home to species for nowhere else. Riparian biosphere. Riparian zones are the area adjacent to rivers and streams support distinct ecosystem that bridge aquatic and terrestrial environments. Thank you. Here is the biosphere types and the characteristic about this biosphere. Thank you.
Welcome to this session. Today we see the outline of food chain and food web. Firstly, where do we get the energy to do a different work? Yes, it is from the food that we eat. Food is a source of energy for all living organisms. We get the energy from other organisms and plants, and that's our ecosystem function. Let's see the example of a food chain. Maize acts as a producer. It is consumed by the locust, then the locust is fed by the lizard, finally the lizard is fed by the snake. Now you understood what is food chain. A series of organisms, each dependent on the next as a source of food. What are the components of a food chain? There are four major components of a food chain: sun, producer, consumer, and decomposers. Sun is the primary source of energy, then producers. Producers are also called autotrophs because they synthesize their own food with the help of the photosynthesis. Consumers. The name denotes on which organisms consumes the other. The consumers is of two types, herbivores and carnivores. Herbivores only eat the plants, that is, producers. Then carnivores are meat eaters. They consume the herbivores. Then finally, decomposers. Decomposers play a major role in the food chain. They end the life cycle as well as begins the food chain. Why they end the life cycle? Because all living organisms are dead and decayed by the decomposers. So, the decomposed material is a good source for plant growth. So, it ends the life cycle as well as begins the food chain. Before that, we know trophic level. What is trophic level? Trophic level refers to the sequential stages in a food chain, starting with producers at the bottom, followed by primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Every level in a food chain is known as a trophic level. Food chain is of two types: deciduous food chain and grazing food chain. Deciduous food chain starts with the dead leaves or some dead materials, and it consumed by the woodlouse, then it consumed by the blackbird. It is a typical deciduous food chain. Then grazing food chain. It is a normal food chain. It is starting from the producer, that is a plant, and ending with the decomposers. So this is the difference between the deciduous and grazing food chain. Food web. A food web consists of all the food chains in a single ecosystem. Food web, a complex network of interconnecting and overlapping food chain showing feeding relationship within a community. Several interconnected food chains form a food web. A food web is similar to a food chain, but the food web is comparatively larger than a food chain. Occasionally, a single organism is consumed by many predators, or it consumes several other organisms. Due to this, many trophic levels get interconnected. The food chain falls to showcase the flow of energy in a right way, but the food web is able to show the proper representation of energy flow as it displays the interaction between different organisms. This is the best example for a food web. When there are more cross interactions between different food chains, the food web gets more complex. The complexity in a food web leads to a more sustainable ecosystem. Importance of study of food web. Show us energy flow in an ecosystem, able to help prevent the bioaccumulation and biomagnification of toxic substances in the environment through intervention. What is bioaccumulation? Bioaccumulation is the accumulation of a substance like poison or a contaminant in an animal. Biomagnification refers to the buildup and increase in the concentration of said substance as it passes from trophic level to trophic level in a food web. This increases the toxic substances can have a profound impact on species within an ecosystem. Thank you.